Hey YouTube, this is just a quick review on the Brous Blades caliper. Really, this is kind of first impressions. I've had this for about a month and a half now, and I'm doing this as I hadn't seen a lot of reviews available online when I made the decision to purchase this, and I got this on knifecenter.com. They've actually got a pretty significant sale going on right now. This one here is the acid stone washed blade. Grind on that is a dagger grind. The edge is on this D2 is pretty much hair popping sharp. Initial impressions, it was actually it was heavier than I anticipated it was going to be. Of course, carbon fiber and titanium liners, and so that had me expecting it to be very light and not heavy in a cumbersome way, but heavy in a very solid, substantial way. You're not going to forget you've got this in your pocket when you're carrying it. If you clip it on your pants, which most folks are going to do, that's not an option for me in my workplace. But let's see. The action is extremely smooth. Very quick. The detent ratio of detent to the tension on the blade is just perfect. It really it flies out. If I chose to do that, I tend to not wail on it when I flip it out, but extremely smooth. Jimping is maybe a little understated. You're certainly not going to cut yourself on it, but that said, it's substantial and it feels appropriate to the knife, if that makes any sense. Perhaps a little rounded over. It's not going to be a sharp-edged jimping. You'll see online that what they did is they chamfered these edges in here. I don't know if that's really visible, but the edge of this titanium, so that when you're flipping it open, your fingers landing on a smooth plane there, which is pretty cool. I really like the fact that on the grind on the knife, that the edges are highlighted through the wash process. The lines are highlighted, so it accentuates that grind. And just kind of like an attention to detail, which I don't know that I'm going to capture on the camera, but there's a ridge that runs down. There's a ridge that runs down the carbon fiber on the knife, and I don't think it's going to be visible, but it's really subtle, and it runs down the length of the carbon fiber, and it basically extends this line on the blade itself. It's just a really tiny detail that it's an attention to detail that's really just kind of sets this apart, the Brous Blades apart. It's a very well thought out design. It's not something that's been kind of churned out to get the next one out. As I said, action is very, very, very fast. The pressure on the blade, of course it's a bearing system, the pressure on the blade is just, I know words like buttery smooth and bank vault action are overused, but it's all that. It's very, very, very smooth. I'm barely moving the knife, and it's falling back into place. And it's super, super secure. It's not, the detent is great. Couple of things that I'm not a super fan of. So they opted to put what they're calling a lanyard clip option here, but your paracord isn't going to fit through that. And in fact, so what it's doing is it's a placeholder on the other side in the event that you wanted to flip the clip around. But what it does is that steel is actually fairly sharp. So when you clip this in your pocket, that steel, and you go to put your hand in your pocket, your hand is catching on that steel. I don't know if that makes sense. But it's not everything else is, it has that washed pebble on the beach sort of feel to it, where everything is rounded and, I don't know, sort of organic feel to it. That really kind of stands out. And in fact, I don't know if you even can hear that, but that's not a lot of pressure, but it's going to catch, you stick your hand in your pocket and you're going to scrape the back of your hand, as I've done a bunch. And it's not really functional because, as I said, your lanyard isn't going to fit through there anyway. I tried taking it out and it leaves a noticeable gap in your handle. So if I wanted to go the route of grinding it, of taking that fitting out and grinding it flush with the handle, well then when I stuck it in there to fill that gap, I don't know how I'd get it out without taking the handle off. So all that, anyway, that's just some of my thinking, and I don't know that that's really a great solution for what they're trying to do on that side. Your results may vary. Okay, so a couple of other things. I don't know that I'm gonna capture this, but there's a tiny, I don't know if you can see this on the carbon fiber, but right there on the presentation side, there's a tiny gap, like an occlusion or it's small, but it stands out because it's the only one. And then here, can you see where the carbon fiber doesn't really match up with the titanium as it approaches that clip? It's a little rough. Again, both of those are on the presentation side of the handle, and again, they stand out because everything else is fit and finish is great. Fit and finish on the rest of the blade is great, great, great. But so currently I'm opting to live with that, but I have oops, sorry for the dog barking. So I have, to their credit, I reached out, I emailed customer service, they got back to me within a day or so, and they said absolutely send it in, guaranteed for life. So there's that. So I might do that. I haven't decided on that yet. Other impressions, D2 steel, people feel strongly either way. I've grown to love it. It is hair popping sharp. I have learned I use Japanese whetstones to sharpen it, and they absolutely do what they need to do, and strap it with leather and PA70 compound, and absolutely, it's great, great choice. Okay, so another thing on this is that the titanium liner lock was sticky. You can see it where it lines up. It matches. It's flush with the edge on that as it sits there. Zero movement at all. But what I did do was go online and read on Brous's FAQs on their site. That said that the titanium liner lock was prone to sticking, and you can hear it now that it is sticking again when I give it a good flip open. So the solution to that is, what I found is Benchmade's blue I forget what it's called, sorry, but they're blue lubricant. So what that does is, so when you've got lubricant on your titanium liner lock, it ends up letting it migrate farther onto the blade than it normally would, and that ends up causing the stick, right? So as a result, what you have to do is, if you choose to kind of do a home spa service and sharpen it up and lubricate your blade, what ends up happening is you then have to do the next thing, and you have to, where the liner meets the blade, right there, you have to take like an alcohol, I find is the easiest thing to do, on a like a Q-tip or something, and wipe that off, and then treat it with a Sharpie marker. And so I've done that in the past, and you probably can't see this here, but it's abraded off because I oiled the knife last night as I was playing around with it, and I just haven't dedicated the time to do that again. But when you do that, you got the alcohols necessary for the Sharpie to really adhere to it, to get the lubrication off of it, and then it becomes buttery smooth again, and there's no audible click, and the action is like the rest of the knife. It's just that smooth. This is a user. Finish on the clip has started to wear a tiny bit. That's fine. And that's about it. I absolutely would recommend it, especially with the discount currently online. I think it's like a 25 or 30% discount on some of these. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but you can see there the sequence, numbered sequence on 500. Centering is really spot on. Yep. So there you go. Definitely recommend it. I think I'll probably, not sure if I'll send it in, not sure if the video really showed kind of what's a little more visible perhaps to the naked eye, or if it's just something that I'll decide not to be so crazy about that and live with it. So there you have it. Initial impressions on Brous Blades caliper. Take care.